Hey everybody. So I owe an apology to a couple of Western Conference teams who I counted out much earlier in the season, and it appears I've counted them out too early and disrespected their abilities to get back in the playoff hunt because both of them have gotten not only back in the playoff hunt, but one of them is currently in a playoff spot out west. So I would like to apologize to and the fans of the Vancouver Canucks and the St. Louis Blues because earlier this season I said both of them were done. They were dead, they were done. They had zero shot of making the playoffs this year. Well, where we sit right now, Vancouver has played 52 games. They're 24-22-6 with 54 points. They are in the last wild card spot in the Western Conference. If the season ended today, Vancouver would make the playoffs. They would be a playoff team. So obviously, I was very wrong about Vancouver being done. I thought Vancouver got off to a very good start this year. They had a nice first month or so of the season, but then they started to fall back down, and I was like, okay, they're going back to 500. Then they're going back to under 500, and they're done. Well, no, they're above 500 again. They've hung around all season long. They've gotten really good play from a lot of their young players, especially, Pedersen and Besser are the two big names. But they've just been a whole lot better than I expected, and they're currently in a playoff spot. And if you had asked me at any point earlier this season, if either before the season or towards the beginning of the year, whenever, if Vancouver would have a shot of making the playoffs this year, I would say hell no. But they do, and they're in a playoff spot right now, and they have been much better than I ever expected. So I'm sorry, Vancouver, you actually do have a very real shot of making the playoffs. I'm not saying they're going to, but they do have a chance. St. Louis, well, it's no secret how awful St. Louis's first half of the season was. They got off to an absolutely abysmal start. They were near the bottom of the conference. It looked like an absolute disaster for the Blues. But now here we are. They've played 50 games, which is less than everyone else. They have games in hand on everyone else in the conference. They've played 50 games. They're 23-22-5. They have 51 points. They're only 3 points out of a playoff spot. They've been playing really good hockey of late, and they're only 3 points out of a playoff spot now, with games in hand. So, I mean, St. Louis, I'm sorry, earlier this year I completely said they were done. This whole season's been a disaster. It's over, and they've completely pulled themselves right up out of the basement to the point now where they're in real contention to possibly get a wild card spot. Again, I'm not saying that they're going to. I think it's a little bit of a stretch to think that St. Louis will make the playoffs. I still think they probably don't. But to say that they don't have a chance is disrespectful and very wrong because they do have a chance. They're only 3 points back with games in hand. We know they're a talented team as far as their roster goes. So, who says they can't, over the next 2 months, put a nice little run together and end up sealing a wild card spot? It's very possible for the Blues. So, both of these teams have pulled themselves up after being very far down in the standings and gotten themselves right back in playoff contention. You have Vancouver in a playoff spot now. You have St. Louis only 3 points back. I was wrong to count them out as early as I did because they're not out of it. They're very much in the thick of the playoff race right now. And while they're certainly not going to challenge the top teams in either of those divisions, they're certainly going to challenge for wild card spots. So, that's pretty much all I had to say. Vancouver and St. Louis have both pulled themselves right back in it. So, with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media, check out offthewallhockey.com. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.